What's up, y'all? We are back live on the camera on live StreamYard, brought to you by StreamYard. It's Erick Esteban. I'm back with another video, podcast, vlog, video essay, whatever you want to call this thing that we're doing. Chris is still in Hawaii. He has a scuba lesson that he is currently doing right now, so he can't join us. But I have another co-host that I am so excited to introduce because she is a personal family friend of mine. We just figured out when we were talking in the pre-interview that I'm her god kuya, I guess. Like I don't know if I want to say that right now because that's weird to say God kuya. But like I'm your kuya, but my parents were her godparents for her wedding, and also she happens to also be the director of the Midwest chapter of Phil Ams for Harris. I almost said Phil Ams for Biden because we've been doing that Phil Ams for Biden all the time, but it's Phil Ams for Harris, and she is the director of the Midwest chapter of Phil Ams for Harris. And I'm about to bring her on right now, guys. My friend, she's my little sister right at this point. Abbey Eusebio, welcome to Miscellaneous and Brown, Abbey.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Tell them how you. I want to let them know a little bit about yourself. So tell them how you got to be the director of Phil Ams for Harris, because you were the Midwest director of Phil Ams for Biden as well, right? And then so
Kind of like deputy, and we basically got a core group of Phil Lambs here in the Midwest, and made sure to have this kind of coalition ready to win. And we've kept in touch, and we're ready to go again for 2024. And so, as you said, it's Filipino Americans for Harris now. And so we're very, very appreciative to President Joe Biden for his leadership and his selfless work for decades to uplift.
This is George Washington type stuff.
Yes,
stepping away from power, and at a point where George Washington was never even close to being as powerful as Joe Biden is, and he stepped away. That's different. That's a different type of greatness.
It is very, very selfless, and obviously did it for the future of our country. And as you said, it's not about the title, and it's making sure that the progress continues and that every American feels included in this country, feels that they have equal opportunity to pursue their dreams. And so it's exciting to be able to kind of see now the progression in the campaign. And now we're going to be supporting Kamala Harris as she wins the presidency as the first Asian American woman and first Black woman in that role.
I am just happy to see it. I'm really, my kids, my two daughters are. It was funny because in 2016 they were young. They were really young, so they almost, the unfortunate what happened with Hillary. They wouldn't have seen. They wouldn't have remembered it. They still don't. They kind of remember it, but they don't really remember. They probably don't remember it because I'm angry about it still. but this one, they're gonna. Kamala looks like them. They have the same skin. They have the same skin tone. They have the same eye shape. They're Asian mixed heritage women. They're miscellaneous brown women. That it's a trip that, like, my first special was called Miscellaneous Brown because we're gonna have our first miscellaneous brown president, which is Obama was miscellaneous brown too, but it's that whole thing about it's just really interesting and very, very hopeful for me as a father of two daughters that it has turned out this way, because you see these things, and they're going to remember this when she wins, because I'm looking at it like this now. They are in disarray, Abbey. They are in disarray. I'm not trying to be overconfident. I want to run through the tape. I want to that's part of why I'm trying to have weekly episodes every day, every week of Miscellaneous and Brown. Like Chris was saying that somebody hit him in the DM. She's like, I thought Erick was going to upload on Friday. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm sorry. I better, I got to upload. I'm going to start uploading, and I want to be continuously uploading every Monday. Like last Monday, since Chris was in Hawaii, it was weird because the news of Biden dropping out, I was happy about it and exhilarated, and the whole thing. I was excited about I was climbing up the coconut tree just like everybody else. I was excited, but
Yep.
when I sat down to podcast about it, I was sad. I was humbled by this man's sacrifice for this country, but also like I said when we were talking about it, like you don't normally step away from, like you always have to acknowledge that there's something bigger than you.
Yep.
As a human being, not even just as a leader, as anything. And that, I think that was such a wonderful example of that, of showing that, we're all part of a bigger thing, that hopefully we can move forward as a human race and as a collective and be better. And Biden, it was just really wonderful to see. And I hope that when I'm that age, if I do reach that age, I can be as graceful and as strong as Biden showed.
Yeah, no, I had a similar reaction, and it was that Sunday afternoon, phone starting to blow up. I'm like, oh my god, what is going on? And saw the news alert, and I also felt immediately sad because you just know it was kind of like end of an era and changing of now kind of the trajectory of the campaign, but once then you kind of thought about seeing Kamala as the our next president. It was such a turning point that finally now is where I think a lot of people are obviously, yes, energized, but two, recognizing that this can happen, this is going to happen, and for a
$200
generation
million in a week, it's gonna
in
happen.
1 week. I mean, such a historic achievement and mobilization of the party, and you don't obviously have to be a Democrat, but just people who believe in change that will happen to positive change under the leadership of Kamala as president. And also, again, women are now seen and heard. And prior to, Trump being president, we had obviously President Barack Obama. And so for even that generation of kids, like that was the only president they knew, like a black president.
They got used to that. They were like, oh my God, this is how the president's supposed to be. He's not supposed to be this really cool dude that's like all hip and funny and charming and all this. Oh, no, we've usually had dudes like Trump more than we've had dudes like Obama. I mean, Clinton was close because he played saxophone on our series.
Yes. He was smooth with that jazz music. But, and for that generation of kids, like that was the first president that they had seen in office. And,
That's a high bar.
It is a high bar. It is a high bar. But it's just really, such a historic moment where all of us are really excited to be able to be part of it in a way now that we didn't maybe necessarily, a lot of people didn't necessarily feel like they were going to be part of such of an impact. And I think that with the record that and the work and years of experience that our vice president has shown and done to fight for immigrant rights, fight for middle class families, fight for equity, justice, obviously gender equality too. I think that it's obviously, again, apples and oranges. And are we going to be committed to electing someone who's going to continue that progress and make sure that every American has the equity and the opportunities that they deserve? Or are we just going to obviously, again, roll back to policies that are conservative, as they're called, and roll back the progress and all the achievements that this administration has, made? this past term.
She
So
has a phrase for that, right? What is it? What did she say? We're not going back.
we're not going back
I
ever.
love that phrase. I love it. We're not going back. Why would we go backward? We got to move forward. We're in the 21st. What 20? So what is it? The 21st century? 20? I don't even know what the
Yeah, we're in 2024. We're
21st
more
century.
than halfway.
Yeah. So like, but 24. We're 2024. Why would we want to? We got AI. We have all these issues that and now he's the old guy.
I mean,
You know.
how quick of a role reversal is that? The comparison
Oh,
of
it's a
now
such a.
you can't
Oh,
use that platform now. I'm running against an older person who they argue is not all there. And so it's
talks about
crazy.
Hannibal Lecter and electrified sharks and all the. I mean, and how windmills will give you cancer. I mean, and that was like back in the day. He was saying stupid stuff like that. So, I I've never, you know, I've never been able to logically figure out how people can 1 + 1 = that answer for people in their brain. I can never figure that out.
And what's scarier is that they're really now focusing on voter intimidation and really making up rules about voting that well, once you vote for me, then you don't need to vote again, or just making up things that like people will listen to and people are going to listen to, and that's what we have, and that's why this election again is, we always say this, but it's very true, it's like the most important one yet.
Well,
And
guess what? I think Abby, people say that every time it's an election because every election it is the most
Mhm,
important election because it is the issues of that particular time coming to a head and which direction are we going to go, right? It's
yeah,
always elections are always the most important time, especially in a democracy. When you want to have a democracy, you want to vote, and that to me is the only thing that where Trump could have won in this election is if people the apathy of not wanting to participate. And I feel like now you got $200 million raised in a week. You have all the memes and all the songs and all the coconut tree songs and all the different ways they've spliced the right wing attacks. They use these quotes, where she was swearing about kick the fucking door down and then said
mhm,
excuse my life, but and then also her laughing. I mean, they're grasping, and then of course I think four different comedians talked about how they're grasping at straws because they're talking about how she's going for their everybody's plastic straws because that's what's important in this election.
this and yeah, I mean, it's like, let's please focus on the issues, let's please focus on how you're going to help every American, and not just a certain demographic, not just a certain part of the country, but how are you going to help every American? And that's where the rhetoric gets nasty. The like, yeah, all these like slurs, these sexist remarks, racist remarks,
Well, didn't
homophobic.
Mike Johnson have to put out a statement to say, "Hey guys, let's not do these misogynistic and racist remarks. Let's keep it to the issues." Like, if you have to have a HR statement for that for your party, you're probably not doing too well for as a party.
Yeah.
It and also when Hulk Hogan rips off his shirt during your convention, also not a good look. I wouldn't think it's just.
Let-
I mean, we got Beyonce singing "Freedom" and Kendrick rapping on that same track, and they got Kid Rock, and with everybody looking in the audience like, I mean, it's even the packages aren't the same.
exactly. I mean, it is literally like apples and oranges, night and day. There's no at
Can I
all.
ask what you think of Mr. Vance, Mr. JD Appalachia, uh, posturepedic, couch loving Vance?
Right. Childless cat lady hater. So,
Oh my God.
you
Have you,
know,
I mean, this is worse than Palin.
I mean, this and the statement recently made of, I love my wife. Sorry, she's not white.
Oh,
I mean, how do you explain that? How do you? I mean, this is the how you view your wife. That you're focusing on her race and you're
she's a good
apologizing.
mother, though. She's a good mother. Oh my God.
I'll give her that.
But I know she's not white, but
But
what you
yes,
lost me at the butt, homie. Yeah, and you probably lost your wife at the butt, homie.
I mean, how does anyone ever think that's okay? Or and how does everyone, condone that kind of like talk about your wife, your beloved wife? I mean, this
But then
is
to take it
where
back to Dark Brandon, I'm going to say it like this: It was such a brilliant move to give Trump that confident whatever he had during that RNC, so that he could pick this fool of a vice president, that talks about childless cat ladies and all the other things, and and then says, "Oh, you know what? I know you guys thought that you were going to win and you were going to landslide this old man, but guess what? I'm going to step aside, and now you're facing the black lady."
yeah. Well, and again,
And then his dark Brandon eyes just started glowing red again. And I was like, and laughed diabolically.
yeah, I mean, and that's the thing where you know we're going to focus on issues. Like, what does that have to do with her experience and her ability to lead?
Not to
And
mention, she's not childless. She has stepchildren
exactly, she has two
with her wife.
stepchildren who she has also raised,
And
and
then
this is
Trump also said that she doesn't like Jewish people, but her husband is Jewish.
exactly. I mean,
Like, there's
the
only attacks. It's only name calling.
exactly, and it's going to get really hot and heated, and it already obviously has. And it's just, it's like brace yourself. But then that's where we have to really again pivot the conversation,
But
pivot the
I
direction of
really love their current pivot, and I also want to talk about. I'm going to ask you about Biden and what he did today. If you know, like with the Supreme Court stuff, where he talked about the Supreme Court reforms. But before that, I want to talk about the, the the idea of, first, you've been a Democrat for a long time. Like, you were the deputy director for Biden, Phillips for Biden, and also you've been a Democrat for a long time before that, because we're from Chicago. That's how Filipinos roll in Chicago. That's us. That's how we do. And you're also like my mom talks about. You should be more like Abby. She's so good.
I'll
No,
take
but
it.
no. But have you, as a Democrat, ever seen us coalesce and just almost like fall in line in perfect timing? Like, there had to be behind the scenes calls with everybody to make sure everybody coordinated
Mhm.
between, like, and then having him say, well, they don't even know, Obama doesn't even know, and then Obama endorses her the next day after they use the excuse to step out of the debate. I mean, it's like, it was brilliant.
Yeah.
I've never I'm a Cubs fan. I watch
Yes.
the Democrats like I watch the Cubs. Sometimes the Cubs don't play right, and the
Mhm.
Democrats don't normally form like Voltron like this so
Mhm.
quickly and so brilliantly. What did you think when you saw that happening? Like, almost like we were following a thing on Twitter or Threads or whatever app you're on, but you're seeing it all unfold before your eyes. What did you think of that?
Yeah, it was such an unprecedented moment where never happened before, and it's really a true testament though to then we did as a party unite. And it's um something where people can say that sometimes our party, I mean all parties will have their divisions, their disagreements, their factions, but at the end of the day it really was a no-brainer because the vice president has time and time again have has always lifted up the Asian American community, has always been there for every issue around anti-Asian hate. She and President Biden went to Atlanta right after the tragic Atlanta spa shootings. She was there in Monterey during that tragic shooting. She has been where we need her at the time we need her at all times, and again has always made sure that she is bringing everyone with her and lifting them up at the same time, finding opportunities to make sure that she doesn't leave anyone behind with every issue, the youth, seniors, the middle class, our immigrant community. And people see that. And even just recently with APIA Votes presidential town hall, which happened on the day that was their assassination attempt of President Trump.
That was a Wolverine-like heel on the ear, by the way. I'm just going to say, I just saw Deadpool and Wolverine, and both of those guys have healing abilities. Trump got some kind of healing ability on his ear, because I've seen the current pictures of his ear that was shot by an AR-15 rifle, apparently grazed, with the blood streaming down his face and the whole thing. And now it is healed. He got some Wolverine type healing power. That's all. I'm not going to say anything else than that, because I got Wolverine and Deadpool on the brain because I just watched that movie. I watched the movie. It was so good. I felt like I was 13 years old again. I came home and I was looking through all my comics and showing my kids my comics. I was I loved it so much. I'm going to go watch it again tomorrow, I think.
It's very,
but anyway, I digress. I'm sorry. Now, as soon as I figured about trying to figure about Trump's ear healing powers, I started thinking about Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm sorry.
Yes, no. I mean, we're all happy that obviously wasn't more hurt, but he was in Pennsylvania, the same state that API Vote was holding their presidential town hall. He did not send a representative. He didn't send a statement, but Vice President Kamala Harris showed up and was there to make sure that she was going to explain how she was going to serve and continue lifting up the Asian American community. So it's always, very obvious then who is going to be our champion, who is always going to be there tirelessly to make sure that we are seen and we're heard in all our needs and with every issue that's impacting us. So it's that moment where, President Biden selflessly stepped down, announced he wasn't running again. I think that it was definitely a moment for our party to think about the potential and the possibilities. And at the end of the day, again, no brainer. It was, Vice President Kamala Harris that we were very excited to support and endorse. So we're very much looking forward to hear, particularly in the Midwest, to fight for her campaign and make sure that we deliver here in the central part of the country, and which really is the focus and center of the political universe right now. There's a reason why the RNC was in Milwaukee. There's a reason why the DNC is going to be here in Chicago. There's a reason why we've got a couple of swing states and states that we got to focus on, Wisconsin and Michigan. We really need to make sure that our voters turn out and do not feel intimidated to do so. People fought for our right to vote, and it's definitely important to make sure that your voice is heard. And whether you do it like early vote, in person, make sure that you cast your ballot, because
make sure you're registered to vote. Check your registration. Go
number one. Yes, make sure you are registered to vote, and it is very easy and it doesn't take a lot of time. And once you are registered, you can not just vote for this election, vote for all elections that make impact on your daily life. And we want to make sure that not just obviously our community comes out to vote, but that all API individuals are there to make sure that our API voice is loud and strong, and that we're stronger in numbers, larger numbers. And we're the fastest growing minority in this country too. So
Filipinos are the second largest API group in the country too. And so like Filipinos just alone by ourselves could change the results of the election. Because what was the election decided by last time? Like 40,000 votes, and in some key states where people don't realize there might be a strong contingent of 20, 30, 40,000 Filipinos that are going out to vote. You never know. You
Never,
never
yes.
know. You never know.
Every vote counts, and we saw that in Georgia. We saw that we're going to see that again in Nevada. The swing states are going to be crucial, and that's where, of course, both parties are going to be focusing a lot of their efforts. But particularly here in the Midwest, we have a lot of potential to make sure that we keep the blue wall blue, and that we have Wisconsin and Michigan, coming out for Kamala. And so together we can do it.
Well, listen, here's what I'm going to say. So we got about a month before the DNC in my hometown.
Very little time, yes.
But at the same time, all I need to do is get there.
You're coming. You are coming. This is your home.
We're going to figure this out because I want to go, and then I can crash at different people's places at different nights. It don't matter. I can be a hobo for it's fine. And also, I think Chris is going with Philadelphia Harris for California. He's going. So if nothing else, I'll sleep on his hotel floor. I don't care. So either way, I'm going to figure out a way to go. But I want to do some, because it's my hometown and we can do some crazy stuff. We can do some karaoke comedy fundraisers for the DNC, all these other things. I would love to do that. And I'm hoping that we can do that. And that those things are so fast to put together that, and especially during that event where everybody's going to be there anyway, looking for other stuff to do if they can't get in on the convention floor. It's going to be a fun time. And I think it's going to be a great time. And I think it's going to be a memorable time. Like I remember being so jealous of being in Los Angeles during the Grant Park celebration in 2008.
That's my home city. I should be there.
And then but then I made the joke in my special because Abbey, shout out to Abbey again. She was at the Friday night taping of my second special, Unemployable.
Front row.
Yeah, it was awesome. And I mean, you're always so supportive of me. I mean, you are like a family member. You're at every show when I come home to Chicago, and you're always so supportive. And I love you for that. That's one thing I'm always gonna. I'm so thankful to have you in my life, Abbey. You're really a great person, and you're so supportive to everything that I do. And again, just to be here on my podcast and just talk about your stuff because you're important. You're the Midwest director of Philadelphia Harris. I'm just a crazy comedian who grows his own weed. Come on, let's just be real.
Don't be silly.
No, but I have to say, like, I'm really excited about the next 100 days because we got 100 days left, and I'm so happy to be able to talk with you about this. But I want to take some time to prognosticate.
Yes.
I want to think about who are your picks. Name your top two picks for VP for Miss Kamala Harris.
That's
sorry, Vice President Harris. I'm sorry, I don't want to disrespect.
Yes, no, that's a hard question. Well, I mean, there've been a short list of names that have been floating around.
But who's Abby's short list? I want to hear your opinion on who do you think? If Vice President called you, said, Abbey, listen, you're the Midwest director of my Filipino American campaign, and I really would like your perspective on who I should pick for Vice President. Give me your top two people, please. I just want your perspective on it.
Yeah. It's so hard because, I mean, the ones that, have been, kind of tossed out there are really great candidates. I'm biased because obviously a couple of Midwest folks have been on that list, including Governor Pritzker here in Illinois, Governor of Minnesota. So obviously I'm a little biased towards them, but other names too are just as great.
Pritzker's a billionaire. I didn't realize Pritzker's a billionaire too. He's like a I can't even say that word. Benevolent billionaire. He's a benevolent billionaire. He's he looks out for the community, but he's still balling like that. He's rich. That's amazing. He's a good dude. I love
He's
him.
he's
I
a
want to move
smart
back to
kid.
Illinois.
Well, yeah, you need to come home more often.
Okay,
Um,
so
but
Pritzker's one of your picks.
well,
You don't want to lose. You don't want to lose him. I mean, he's a great
he-
governor.
exactly. Yes, yes. And so, I know people are talking about Secretary of Department of Treasury or Transportation, right? Our Indiana guy, Secretary Buttigieg, but I think that as far as like my top two picks, I think that and where kind of things maybe look like they're heading, you know, Governor Shapiro or Governor of Kentucky, because we want to make sure
Bashir.
that yeah, and plus, for we need to have, of course, a good showing of Southern support, which we have. So want to make sure that they're also lifted up here. And I think that they would be great candidates to serve as vice president. Um, for governor of Pennsylvania, very crucial swing state. He has already shown great leadership during his time as governor, with a lot of the being like, kind of like a purple state.
Hmm.
Of course, you got to work with both sides, and he's been able to do that effectively. And it's you're going to need that, obviously, in the White House. So I,
And
but
both of
also
them are
no,
ready to be president. I think both of them. I wouldn't be, like because that to me is like the qualification that you need to have as a vice president if you're going to be the vice presidential pick is people have to be like, oh, well, if something happens to the president, can you handle the job? That
correct.
and obviously JD Vance is failing that test in the weeks prior to, after the convention for them, but that's the test, right? Because
Right.
and especially now with Trump, he's going to be 77 years old, to be 81 at the end of his term if he decides to end the term, because he just said that you won't even have to vote anymore if after the 4 years you won't even have to vote anymore because
Yeah.
he does a anyway. I don't even. Um, but so those are your two, Shapiro and Bashir.
That's where I'm leaning.
Okay.
It's hard because, again, they're all, like you said, they're
No,
ready.
that's the wonderful thing about it is that we have such a wonderful roster of
Yes.
people to pick. I do agree.
Yeah, what are your thoughts?
Mine, uh, I I I want to just go for I want to go at the anti Project 2025 ticket and go Kamala and Buttigieg. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
straight up, like give them exactly what they don't want. In as far as
Right,
no,
right.
no, for real, like cram it down their throats. Being
Yeah,
real,
it's
because show
time.
them that America does not want any of what they're trying to sell at Project 2025. That's kind of where
Exactly.
I'm at with it. As far as if Buttigieg is your guy, and especially because he's such a brilliant. Like I watch his interviews to understand and my debate tactics in my head because the
Mhm.
way that he words things, and he's such a brilliant communicator. Even the same way Newsom is, but I don't. I wouldn't. I'm not just mentioning Newsom because he's a great communicator. That's all I'm going to say about Newsom. He's not my second pick, but Buttigieg is my number one.
Number
Okay,
one. Okay.
number one. I also like uh, Shapiro and Bashir. They're very good. Um, I almost don't want them to lose their spots in the governorship because governorships are very important to
Oh,
all
yes.
levels of government,
Very,
up and
for
down,
sure.
all the way through. I want y'all to vote for Democrats all the way down to your school board, like everybody. Make sure,
Mhm.
like all the way through, because the school board's banning books, so you want to go like
Oh,
that's
yeah.
been a push on our on Miscellaneous and Brown to stress local elections. Like we've been having these city
Oh,
council members and different people who are running for office here on the West Coast, and especially like Isabel Gerardo and Jessica Coloza and Robert Bulatow and all these people who are Filipinos who are running. But
mhm.
they're not running for president. They're running for local office, and those are the things that are going to really affect you as a person. Like
Mhm.
like actually, like day-to-day things that you like, oh man, why is this street all messed up? The city council handles that stuff. Like the mayor handles that stuff. You're not going to call the president for a pothole on your street. You're going to call the city council, and that's to have these people now that I'm learning from. I'm learning about the my own local
Reps.
laws and
Hmm.
different things. Because and it's just an interesting time to be a part of this because it's such a new, especially now with Kamala at the top of the ticket. We've got this young new generation, Gen Z, Gen
Exactly.
X, you know, politicians, some of who have been in the game, some who are new to the game but are inspired to be a part of, something. And it's really heartening to see because, I'm old. I'm turning 50 this year. I got my yeah. If
This
I
is milestone birthday. All right. This is
Yeah, no, I'm excited because so all the stuff that's happening in the comedy stuff is great. So
that's
I mean, go ahead.
it's very true because this is where for this ticket for this generation, this is what the next generation of leadership is going to look like. This
Yeah,
is what uh, we need to make sure that we are seen represented in our leadership, and that we know that this team, whoever she picks, we know that they are going to deliver on the next generation of policies that are going to be serving every every person, every town, every community. And I think that that has been obviously what a main driving factor now for the energy, because we want to make sure that we're all inclusive, but also that we are incorporating progressive policies that are going to um, get us to where we should be. Like you said, like if
I mean,
we
even
had,
even just specifically as a Filipino American community, I think that like, and that kind of leads me to what I want to talk about because we are a day ahead of the big Philams for Harris
yes,
event. Where everybody's going to meet online on a Zoom tomorrow. So we're
yes,
going to provide links for anybody who wants to register for that event. I'm going to, with this video, I'm going to put links in the description for that event if you want to participate and
thank you,
register.
yes,
I'm going to put, but if you could email that to me, just so I have the perfect link, so that I'll send that, put it all in the description, and upload this video. This will be up tonight on Monday night, because I try to stay every Monday because you know
a
even if
lot of
it's
things
only
are happening.
huh?
It's a lot of things are happening, like trying to keep up with everything, with the campaign, current events. The past couple weeks have been a bit of
But it's
bit
fun. It's
busy.
really fun, and it's great to get your perspective on things because you've got a little bit more inside baseball knowledge of it. Like if I talk with a comedian about politics, sometimes it's a different conversation than when I'm talking to the Midwest director of Philams for Harris. You know what I'm saying? So it's been awesome to talk to you, but it's also cool to talk to you, little sis in
Yes,
Chicago.
everyone. Eric is the best kuya because he not only supports his family, his friends, but he supports the comedians that need exposure and need to be lifted up, and he never goes anywhere without including them. So you are definitely are true leader in your space in comedy and acting. And so we are so proud of your success and all of your accomplishments, and that's why it's so important that we support you and all the great work that you're doing on, really doing the real talk right now, really talking about why it's important to vote, why it's important for the Filipino American community to be engaged civically, and also understand how certain policies are really going to affect your daily life, and that we should have every equal opportunity as every other community. And so, and doing that through art and through comedy is like a whole other awesome way to do that. So we always claim you as our hometown guy. So any opportunity that you get to come here, we're always like, you need to come
I,
back home.
I really do. I would love to be able to if it all lines up, I'm going to talk to 4x3 and see if unemployable
Yes.
is almost ready. And, you know, I like to have multiple reasons. And obviously, the DNC and the first AAPI African American Black president, woman president, all of it, the whole historic thing. And it's in my hometown again. And it's almost like we get a redo on the mishap of 72 and the craziness of that convention and how
Oh
an
yeah.
open convention, because that's what I was talking. I was when we first, when everybody was after the debate, the post debate was like, oh my God, Biden this and all that, and I was like, guys, we got to chill out, because the only way that this is happening is if Biden decides what he wants to decide. But I'm not even trying to think about that. I'm gonna go vote for Biden, whatever. But an open convention is not good, and it's in Chicago. I don't want to repeat history, but I
Yeah.
think now this convention is going to be a very different
Once in a
type of
lifetime,
thing.
kind of.
It's going to
Yeah.
be it's going to be a different thing, because Grant Park and Obama was very special, and yes, for me, almost specifically, was even that much more special because it was Grant Park in Chicago.
Hmm.
But this, yes, it's in Chicago, and that means a lot to me specifically. But this means a lot for the whole the the culture,
Hmm.
because America drives pop culture in a lot of ways globally. Whether it's hip hop, whether it's movies, whether it's all these things, and politics in a lot of ways. Like, look at what happened in France and in England. They had a leftist movement because of all these things that were happening. So I think we're just falling in line with what's the global, hopefully progressive, and kind of and I hopefully ultimately more empathetic form of government that looks towards all the people, and not doesn't worry about income levels or melanin levels or any other levels of things that none of us can determine, or some of us can determine, and some of us are just greedy. Because
Yeah.
look, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna put it right here like this. If any of you rich Filipinos in Chicago are listening to this and like my podcast and want to, buy me a plane ticket to Chicago for the DNC, I'm telling you right now, I will do it in your business. We will podcast in your business, and we will. Yeah, I'm just saying. We could. I'm looking at one of you, Filipino restaurants. I could be like in your restaurants, posted up in the DNC, and we could watch it on
Yeah.
on the
Watch
TV.
party.
Watch parties and then karaoke afterwards and all. Oh my
Yes.
God, it would be so much fun. And
There's
then
yeah.
Kamala would
Food and
show up,
music.
and Joe
Food
would
and
show up, and we'd sing karaoke with Joe Biden. And I'd sing Islands in the Stream. I already have the song picked out to sing with Joe Biden. I'll sing the Dolly Parton part, and he could sing the Kenny Rogers part, and we would have such a fun time, and that shit would go viral. And
there you
I
go.
mean, and then the karaoke comedy politics show would be born, and we'd sell it to Comedy Central, and then there you go, it'd be all set.
Yes, it's a win-win. Supporting a Filipino-owned business, getting people civically engaged, getting people excited about this historic election, and getting out the vote. So you are
That's
achieving
it.
a lot in one gathering. And yeah, and like I said, the Midwest is really the center and focus of this political universe we're in right now.
Yeah,
And what better place to be in being part of this. And at the end of the day, I mean, the historic number of the amount of money that was raised in 1 week for Vice President, Harris, like, I mean, again, that's proof that we can mobilize and we can activate quickly, and we can support her and make sure that she gets over this finish line, and we can do it in this less than 100 days that we have left. And it's some may say, that in politics that's like a lifetime, but there's very short time that we can organize and strategize, and we're doing it, and we've been doing it since she announced, and we're making sure that we're going to deliver on that on that promise. And I think that people understand, like the task, like we less than
we
100 days.
understand the assignment. That's the
We
hashtag
understand
that
the
was on
assignment, and
Threads and
we're
Twitter.
we're ready. Put me in,
Yeah,
coach. We're ready, because it's definitely we can't do it alone. We need to do this together, and we're going to do it in solidarity with other communities, with the Black vote, the Latinx vote. We're going to make sure that we are working solidarity with like the rural communities, all different regions of this country. So this is a time where we cannot just sit on our laurels and that think that we're going to win with just minimal action. We need to always run an election as if it is our last, is one that we might lose. And so that has been a mistake some people have made in the past, and we're not going to do that. And so we have a lot of momentum. Vice President Kamala Harris had a higher approval rating than Trump just a couple of days ago. So we are building this momentum, and we're building the support. We're building the infrastructure of this campaign together. And it's all going to coalesce here at the DNC, where it's like a reunion, but it's also a celebration. And it's going to be a call to action to make sure that we're doing this together, united.
But before, okay, because we're almost running out of time. We're like,
how are we ready to run out of time already?
We're speeding through. But I want you to give a plug to the event that's happening tomorrow, June 30th, with Filams for Harris. Talk about who's going to be there. Talk about who's going to be listening. It'll be the whole of Filipino progressive America together on one Zoom. So I'd love for you to plug that and talk about that for just a minute, and then we probably are gonna have to sign off because we could talk forever, Abby. But definitely plug tomorrow's event for sure.
Yes. No, thanks, Eric. Yes. Tomorrow, July 30th, we're going to have a big community launch for Filipino Americans for Harris. So big Zoom gathering, and we're going to have different Filipino elected officials from across the country. Attorney General Rob Bonta. We're going to have people from all across the South, Midwest, and also obviously the West Coast, East Coast. And so we want to make sure that we gather everyone in a space where we're celebrating this historic moment, and that we're coming together to take the next steps on making sure that, again, we get victory in November. And it's going to be a party at the end too, because like we've talked about.
And if there's anything Filipino Americans and Filipinos in general know how to do, it's climb the coconut tree.
Coconut tree. And we can do it virtually.
I feel like that all them coconuts online should be a sign to you Filipinos that we need to support Kamala Harris for president, because all them coconuts, that's just our own homeland speaking to us. We need to be down with the coconuts. We need to take the coconut pill, swallow the coconut pill, and do everything that you can to get Kamala Harris elected. And also, if you're listening and watching for this long, you should probably like the video.
Yes.
And you should subscribe to this channel. And Abby, tell them where they can find you and how they can support you and how they can just tell them plug all the things that you want to plug and tell them all the things.
Yeah. So so tomorrow will be at it's going to be via Zoom. So we ask that everyone register, and we'll plug in the links and such. And we want to make sure that when we gather together, we keep in touch, because obviously this is going to be a community launch, and we're going to try to make sure that everyone together is going to be working towards this victory. But it'll be 7:30 Central Time, so 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific PM. And what we'll do is, we'll put in the links and such to get registered for that, but also to make sure to follow us, Filipino Americans for Harris, on social media.
One word, right?
Instagram.
I'll put it in the description too. Yes. I'll put that in the description too.
I don't want to say the exact handles here. So follow us, get connected, because also we're going to be looking for people to help us phone bank, help us canvas, and all the different. So not just here in the Midwest, of course, all of our partner volunteers in different parts of the country, making sure that we're activating our Philam community, getting people registered to vote, even like coordinating rides to the polls, making sure if you need translation, we get that for you, making sure that you know where your polling place is, and make sure that if you want to vote early, how you do that. And so we can definitely help with that. And we're going to have some merch, and we want to make sure that we are going to be working together and celebrating in November. And so we're also going to be going to have other different, possible like meetups, like here in the Midwest. We're going to be making sure that we're traveling to the swing states to do some door knocking, some phone calls. So we want to really prioritize, obviously, where the work is needed in those swing states. So yeah, we'll make sure to get those links in up so that everyone can get engaged and get connected.
Awesome. 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 Well, anything where if it's online where we can meet and hang out and talk, I'm down for whatever. And also, again, we're gonna put it out there. This will be the first of many requests, and maybe not even requests. We'll see what happens. Who knows? Maybe good luck will happen, and things will go well, and I'll be at the DNC in August.
You're going to be at the DNC for sure.
Just put it in the universe. We'll put it in the universe, and it'll happen. It's gonna happen.
You're coming back home for this very historic convention.
Right on. Hey, Abby, thank you so much for being my guest today on Miscellaneous and Brown and discussing, these the flipped perspective. I came up with that earlier on politics and pop culture, because it's our Philam perspective on things, but also it's just how it relates to us, but also it's just fun to be able to talk to you and connect with you, because it's just, you're a good friend, and it's nice to be able to know that we have good people doing the work to get good people elected. So I'm just happy to call you my friend.
You're doing the hard work, Kuya, too. So and obviously, again, you're a Chicago guy, so I feel like California stole you from us. So
no,
obviously,
I'll always be Chicago no matter what.
Always Chicago through and through. You can never take the Chicago out.
Always from the shy. I won't ever Kanye myself. I'll never be Kanye. All right, Abby. We'll talk to you soon. And you know what? This will be the first of many times, because I want to let's do this again soon before we'll talk. We'll talk before the convention, and maybe we'll talk at the convention too. But at the same time, let's talk before the convention. We'll do this again.
We will. Looking forward to it.
Peace. See you guys soon. Like, subscribe, write a review. Talk to you soon. See you next Monday. Peace.
Peace.